Great. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to the 96Boards Open Hours here. It's sponsored by Linaro. And today is actually a very special day. As you can tell, we have a nice panel of engineers, people from around the industry that have volunteered to answer questions, anything 96Boards related. Now, besides that, right, we are actually coming to you live from the JW Marriott in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, here at the Linaro Connect. And we've shared the links to Linaro Connect quite a few times throughout the weeks. Chauvin hopefully can share that up to the people on Blue Jeans. Everyone here obviously knows what's going on. But this is the third part of a three-part series for the DragonBoard 410C. Now, this, yeah. Now, anyone who is here or actually probably going to watch this later will be getting an email. We're going to raffle off 10 DragonBoard 410Cs donated from Qualcomm. We actually hope to do this in the future with other 96 boards, hopefully high key, bubblegum. Maybe we'll see what else we can do down the road with in between seasons and little gaps. Now, I want to give a second for each one of our panel members, and this is kind of in the wrong place here, but to introduce themselves. So maybe we can kind of go down the line here, starting with Akira, and just everyone can introduce themselves so we know who we're dealing with.
Okay, I'm Akira Tsukamoto. Working for Linaro from Tokyo, and you could see my name on 96board.forum. I'm the moderator.
Good afternoon. I'm Lawrence King from Qualcomm Canada. I am an evangelist for the DragonBoard 410C.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yang, the director of 96Boards from Linaro. I work from Cambridge, UK.
My name is Mark Bolzern from Anchorage, Alaska. I'm wearing my vintage Linux Mall t-shirt. You can Google me if you want to know anything.
My name's Daniel Thompson. I work at Linaro in the support and solutions team where I tech lead, and I'm from Bristol, UK.
Missing Ricardo. we have someone at the very end. He's going to be doing a cool demo later, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm behind the scenes here. All right. So my name is Ricardo Silveris, engineer manager of the 96Boards team, working with this great amount of people in here, doing some great technology and software and so on and so forth. That's it.
Great, cool. So as you can tell, we have kind of everyone from everywhere. We want to welcome questions with regards to 96 boards. Lawrence up here, especially since this is the end of the DragonBoard 410C series. If you have any questions about the DragonBoard 410C, he is one of the creators of it, right? Him and his team actually made the DragonBoard 410C. We also have Yang, which is the director of 96 boards. Akira, he's all over the forums. Daniel's all over the forums. And our community lead, which I'm referring to here, is Mark Bolzer, and he's been with Open Hours since the very beginning, episode 1, and has given us great support in this effort to build a community around 96 boards. So with that being said, I usually like giving little breaks. I don't know if anyone in the call has a question for our panel. Anyone in the audience has a question for our panel? Or if not, I was going to ask the panel some questions. So anyone is going to speak up? All right, great. So then I'm going to start throwing some questions at the panel. Now, I wanted to kind of start with Yang. Could you tell us a little bit about 96 boards in general and how it might compare or how it might fit in the single board computer market right now? Just kind of go.
How much time do I get?
You get a minute. No, go as long as you want.
Because I have to ask that question because every time I talk, I can't stop. Just go on. Right. So yeah, 96 board. I mean, we started this initiative about 1.5 years ago from Linaro. It was initially intended to be an initiative to help to bring out low-cost, affordable V7, V8 and hardware, so that people who are passionate about software can get on with our job. And which was obviously one of the challenges our community was facing, especially when it comes to Arch64 and hardware development platform. You don't really have many choices. You have Juno, which is great platform, but it's very expensive, hard to get. So that's where the background of 96Boards initiative kicked off. It was originally designed to be a SoC independent specification or a series of them, and also tailored for each different segment requirement to help this SoC vendor to be able to bring the latest and greatest SoC technology to the target community and market where they have interest in penetration and also probably adoption in the new market. And also, as I said, and from the developer end, they actually finally be able to get their hands on this, good board and good technology to get on with the software development and application design and product development. So that's the intention, and I'm happy to say that goal, intention, and desire and passion and remain today. We still firmly believe this is going to benefit us all. This is going to benefit every ARM SoC vendors, and this is going to benefit all the developers around us. And this is going to benefit the product designers and help them to be able to cut down the cost in terms of evaluation and fast prototyping in terms of improved time to market. So yeah, so that's why we're here today. We're here to tell you that we have been on a very incredible journey in the last 12 months. We have so many boards, I'm losing count, right? And also we have enabled all different type of SoC in all different type of segments. We would like to keep it going, but we obviously need your support, need your help. We do see the community has been getting momentum, and OpenHours is one of the vehicle where we were able to reach out and be able to hear your voice. We would like to be able to get more of your feedback. We would like to be part of a community and helping us to continue building up this momentum behind us. So yeah, time up.
No, that's perfect. Thanks, Yang. It's a good point, actually. This show isn't for me or for Yang or for anyone on the panel. It's for the community. And essentially, OpenHours, it should serve as a medium or a channel for the community to communicate with the developers. And that's the whole point of it. Come on the show. This is actually really strange because, there's an audience here and there's people online, but I'm usually sitting at home with a Linaro sign behind me. So this is really cool. But was there a question in the audience? I saw someone's hand go up. Please. I'm just going to repeat that question for the mic here. Or actually, if you want to repeat it in the mic.
Yeah. So if I get it right, the question is about Marvell's and intention of designing 96 boards and where is the status? What's the status of that? Right? Is that question correct? Okay. So two answers to that question. Well, two parts or to one answer. So the design did go ahead, and not just one. To the best of our knowledge, there were at least three designs which were done according to 96-board specification, and different version of 96-board specification as well. And the product, we also believe it was actually being productized. It actually been put in production too, in actually end user product form factor by Marvell. So I wouldn't name the product name here, but obviously Marvell has decided to not become of Linaro family. So in which case, the board is still out, and which we believe it still benefits a certain part of the community. We believe that's contribution 96-board already made to the community. To the matter of that boards will not be part of 96-board because they are not will not be carrying 96-board logo. But we're still very happy to see these boards out because especially one of the design really helped that part of the community.
Great. Actually, I kind of wanted to does anyone have any more questions in the audience first? I had a question for Lawrence. So Lawrence, taking into account everything Yang said, what was your decision? Why did you decide to make a DragonBoard 410C 96 boards?
At the time that 96 Boards actually started writing the CE spec. It happened to be exactly the time that we were designing a board so that we could take the 410 processor to the community. So what we did is, as we built the spec, we built the board at the same time. So it met our requirement of a board that we can take out to the community, and it conveniently met 96 Boards' requirement to have a board to start with. So it all just happened to line up at the right time. That's was the first driving point. But now that we've got it out there, it's been a really incredible journey. There's so many boards out there, so many things happening, so much software improvement happening every day. It's actually been a great experience.
That's great. Yeah, and I mean, for all of those you online, I mean, you remember Lawrence did that really cool demo last week, so that was a lot of fun. So one more question here for Mark. Mark, how's it going?
Doing great, Robert.
Great. Yeah, no, so I met you at ELC San Diego. It was a lot of fun. You're definitely a lot of fun to hang out with. How has been your experience here at Connect so far?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm loving the techie track as opposed to a whole bunch of trade show booths that you just wander around. There's a few people in the halls that have things to show, but they're not being pushy, and it's real honest to goodness tech content.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, I know I said it earlier, but Mark's been great support online with us in the open hours, helping out with the community, giving us a lot of advice on how to expand with the community. So it's been a lot of fun. Thank you. Anyone have any more questions in the audience? Thought I saw Raj come in here. You seem to have a lot of questions in the hallway, so. Oh, cool.
Sure. I'm still trying to understand. I think in the morning I was asking you a lot of questions. I do appreciate and fully support what you're doing. But I'm still struggling with the fact that how do these different silicon vendors who make the SoCs still be able to differentiate on these boards? You talked about software running on one board, moving easily to be able to move on to another board. But if one of them had some secret sauce inside their SoC on one board, obviously that's not going to migrate well to the other board. How do you handle, or have you thought about that, or what's your opinion on it?
I think this has come up quite often. Daniel, you want to take this one?
I'll have a go, and that's that the silicon vendors have to differentiate from each other to sell products in the market. And 96 Boards is then in a position to benefit from those vendors trying different things. So we've got a board that can provide USB 3 if you want to do really high bandwidth USB connectivity. We've got a board with 8 cores if you want to play around with very hot chips. We've got a board with GPS on it. And we've got a board now with 10 cores and lots of opportunities to do interesting things in the kind of big, medium, little space. And that's just the boards that are announced. And there's more, and they will all be different in different ways because the chips inside them are being competitive with each other, and if they don't compete, they won't get that differentiation that they need for their chip to succeed.
I'd like to add a statement about why I'm here. I was actually a member of a couple different maker spaces and also involved with some libraries and teaching technology and so forth. And what I found was there was just a lot of confusion as to what was what. There were Raspberry Pis or Arduinos. People don't necessarily know the differences between a computer and a programmable logic controller. And that literally is the difference between those. But I was also creating a product for a company that had critical infrastructure they needed to run where there was safety involved, making clean drinking water, actually. And they couldn't afford the kinds of prices that the Allen Bradleys and other big names of the world charge for their equipment. And there was nothing at the low end. Well, we could have used a Raspberry Pi or something. We put an Odroid and an Arduino together with some software. And then when it came time to manufacture it, guess what? They didn't make that particular microprocessor board anymore. And so one of the things that's really attracted me here is in the 96 boards, they've got a long life. They're a high quality spec. They have the connectors in the same place on every board. So if you make a case, you can swap boards in those cases, providing you've got enough cooling. There's an actual honest to goodness plan that will take you from idea and prototyping the idea to real honest to goodness manufacturing much quicker than any other product will.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's already been quite extensive answer. I just want to add one line here. Is if you notice yesterday's announcement from Qualcomm, the 600E and the 410E chipsets lifetime support 10 years. We are very excited for that about that, and you can see the commitment from the SoC vendor by making those chips available for the market and for the developers, and hopefully, which I'm pretty confident it will, be enabled in a 96-board form factor. Yes, as Mark, also pointed out quite rightly, there is a clear productization path for your work, for the prototyping work you'll be doing. That is actually one of the differential factor between us and a very crowded SBC space.
Thank you. Did that answer your question, Raj? Did that get you enough information there? Cool. I mean, if you ever want to join again, right, we'll be not here, but online next week. You can just join in and ask more questions. We did get a question online, so I'd like to kind of put this to the forum here. What was it? Does the DragonBoard 410C support U-boot apart from LK?
I'll pick that one up. At this instant, the DragonBoard runs LK. It doesn't run U-boot. And I don't see that that's going to change really soon, but I won't say it'll never happen.
I believe that there is a community port of U-boot, and it is actually cooperating with little kernel. So in other words, you get little kernel to load U-boot, and then U-boot can be used with all the usual U-boot facilities to load further things. Now, that does not come from 96Boards. That comes from the community. I can't credit the author because I can't remember who it is, but it is available if you do want to use U-boot and have its useful command line features.
And the DragonBoard support for U-boot, that version in particular, like it's already upstream for a while already. And if you see Deb and the latest packages, the DragonBoard is already enabled in there. So it works the same way as was described in here. It still loads the little kernel, and then it jumps to the U-boot, and then you have the U-boot and can access USB, a few other devices, and so on and so forth. But it's still not native. But there's already like working in progress, mostly from community at this stage.
Yeah, so that was a question from, I believe, Amit Pundir online, and now there's a few more questions popping up. But does the audience have any questions for the panel here? Because I'm going to start asking some more here. Can't really.
I'd be curious to hear just like one-word answers or 2 words at the most from people. It's like how you would really think the selling points are of 96Boards, because there's so much to offer. I'm just curious, like real quick responses from people.
Compatibility from board to board.
This little carbon making sensor networks with the CE acting as a host is probably the most exciting thing that's happened for me since 96Boards started.
I think I'm going to pass on, because if I start to answer, it's going to be non-stop.
Yang wasn't joking.
So the one thing about the 96Boards form factor is it's great for prototyping. You can bring your product up initially, and if one of the SoC vendors bails, you have a place to fall back. Or if a newer, better, faster version comes out, you can upgrade, all without changing everything underneath.
Yes, I used to work for electronic company, which is a manufacturing company, and in the position for the point of view from buying a semiconductor from a semiconductor company is one differential portion could be hardware, but another portion is on top of the software, how good supported, or how good the quality is, or how many open source project is running on. So it's a 96 board. It's a great project which going to make some of the SoC company working together with Linaro to make their SoC differentiate with other semiconductor company.
Did that get you there? Did you want to say something now, Yang? Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, sorry, I just couldn't read this. So, two words: standardization, differentiation. That's what 96 was all about.
Hey, there you go. All right. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go with another question here from online, and this is coming from. I'm gonna try to pronounce this. Sainath, I hope. And he says, "Is there a chance the DragonBoard 410C could get Google support for OS like Android?" What do you think?
I'm afraid that I don't think anybody on the panel here can speak for Google and what Google will and won't do. So at this point, I think we're going to have to pass on that question unless you want to do it like this. There is a version of Android running. There is a version of Android on the board.
I think you made the panel mad.
I think there's a very, very good high quality Android build available for DragonBoard and for all purpose and intent. As Lawrence is quite, we can't speak for on behalf of Google, but yeah, we are very hopeful. There's always possibility, right?
And in the community, I've seen people moving services from the Google supported platforms to the open community platforms. So you can roll your own.
Having said nobody can speak, we've now gone almost entirely down the line. The other thing you might point out is probably a good shout out for the work that Rob Herring demonstrated on Monday, which was taking ARSP and augmenting it with really cutting edge kernel features like the latest DRM fencing and setting that up running. And that's there on the DragonBoard. And the DragonBoard's unique feature of open source graphics is what's made that the platform that's really driving Rob's work. So despite the fact it's not an ARSP, it's still propelling forward the Android ecosystem. Yeah, it'd be nice to actually, Siobhan, if you wouldn't mind sharing that link online there for the keynote that happened on Monday that Daniel was just talking about. But yeah, so one more question then. We got, why can't serial port just be made available on board in the first-hand requirement for developer? Ultimately, you need to spend out-of-pocket money to get serial port.
Do you want to take that one?
And I guess that's kind of not just DragonBoard, that's just 96 boards. Yeah.
Right. Gosh. How do can I dodge this one? So for those who in the know understand, we have a specification committee, which and also we have a we do have a group of experts in the area which we're discussing. It's not looking for excuse, but I think it's hardly you can find a spec which is perfect. By no means I'm saying that 96 board spec isn't perfect, but spec is evolving. One of the nice thing about 96 board series of specification is we acknowledge from day one that the spec needs to evolve according to time, according to the development of technology, and also to the evolution of the SoC itself. So 96 board specification is also is evolving. We are also looking at what are the area where most people would feel strongly about, will benefit them more. One of the topic which has been brought up in the past is availability of the serial port on board. On the CE specification as it is today, we didn't pull out the serial pin. It was a conscious decision, and again, by the time of specification was made, the discussion ended with we probably do not need to bring out additional serial ports since we are offering a lot of other opportunities. Having said that, if you look at the 96 board IoT additional specification, it is clearly recommended that the serial port 2 be pull out, because we understand in those type of application and also product prototyping as a clear need for be able to access while if the serial port is of the capabilities available from the MCUs to be used or SOC to be used. So long story short, yes, it is not on the current specification. It doesn't mean it will never be. And at the same time, we do encourage you to use the serial ports from which will be available from the low-speed connector and also the jack tag capability we have. But we understand that in certain power communities, they are quite familiar and getting used to using the raw serial pin. We hope to be able to see the serial pin capability on the next revision. But as I said, it's going through a scrutiny. It's every suggestion is going through a serious scrutinization. We will obviously seriously consider this requirement.
So when we did the original spec, there was a lot of discussion on that serial port. And adding additional hardware to convert serial to the UART to USB and the USB connector would add cost to the board and would take up valuable space on the board. It's a very small board that could be better used for other components. The second thing is this group here are nearly all kernel developers. Kernel developers love their serial port to get the thing up and running because it's the easiest peripheral to bring up and running. But the rest of the consumers of the board, they connect an HDMI monitor and a keyboard and a mouse. That's where they get their console on the screen. So they're not doing bring up. So we don't need to burden them with the cost, the majority of users, with the cost of the things that the kernel developers sitting in this room really want.
And I'll offer a very quick, pragmatic bit of advice to the questioner, which is that the cost of a 1.8 volt TTL serial thing has reduced in price by 4 times since 96Boards has been running. Now, I don't think we can claim credit for that. It'd be nice. But yeah, instead of having to buy them off the big component suppliers, it's now quite easy to find 1.8 volt TTL on eBay.
Yeah, so I hope that answered your question. I mean, that was a lot for just the serial port, but cool. There's more questions up here. I could just keep reading questions to the panel. I kind of want to give the audience a chance. I don't know, maybe David, you want to come say something? I know you're the community manager. No? He's been doing some good work with libraries, unifying the libraries. Oh, Gordon.
I'm at Gumsticks and pleased to be supporting 96Boards. One of the challenges we've had is making MIPI ports available and not having, through the high-speed expansion bus, and not having good access to the drivers. Do you have a rollout plan for camera support on MIPI drivers and MIPI drivers?
I think I want to pass that one to Lawrence, yeah?
As of Friday, 6 days ago, I published an application note on the Qualcomm Developer Network on exactly how to build a MIPI CSI camera, and all of the schematics, all of the layout rules, and the drivers for a MIPI CSI camera are already in the operating system kernel. In fact, the drivers for 2 cameras are there. So I think your question will be fully answered if you go read the app note.
You can also find that app note on 96boards.org/documentation on the DragonBoard homepage. It's under their additional documents. Yeah. And I just shared it as well on the Blue Jeans, so everyone has it here.
The DragonBoard chip, does it support all of the V8 Neon, including the crypto extension instructions? Is it complete?
So if you go and check a DragonBoard, actually, obviously, you could actually quite easy to be able to find that out. So at the moment on the Dragon 410C, no, but there are other boards of 96board family has a crypto extension enabled.
Good there? Okay.
Lawrence's answer made me think about something. The target audience that you feel really that 96Boards is for, where you're saying it's, here mostly kernel developers, but that's a really interesting point that you made. Who do you feel the whole target audience is of 96Boards?
The 410C, we really want to see it going out into, I'm going to call it volume products. That's our long-term goal. You initially start by getting kernel developers to do kernel development. You then get application developers to build things like drones or automotive systems or infotainment systems or whatever they're going to build at the next layer up. They're no longer working with the kernel. But then we don't know what the next company that's going to come up with a great idea is. Somebody's going to do like Nest did with the Beagle board and take it to millions of units. And after the first level kernel developers, the guys that are building a product don't really need access to the console. And the guys that are building the final product in huge volume will not need access to the serial console except for their own debug and test. So that's why I say, okay, the guys in this room, they really want serial console, but I don't think the rest of the market is going to need it in the long run.
I think a lot of the breakthrough ideas are going to come out of the maker community. It's going to be some kid who has some problem with something and they're solving that problem and it just catches on like wildfire with other people. And the difficult thing there is when you spend time with makers, a large percentage of them aren't going to have something you're interested in, so you kind of lose interest. But you need to keep looking for that 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 because they're there.
I think this is a lot of discussion, as Robert said, on the serial port. But coming back to the serial port, I have to disagree with the panel that it's going to be a cost adder. You know, when we have tried to bring up boards and new one, I do agree with you on the cost addition it does add, but it is such a basic fundamental debugging capability that you need. So when you plug your HDMI and your USB keyboard and it boots up and works, that's great. But what do you do when it doesn't? And so having some very, and the serial port is a very basic debug, a debug capability that I think has to be taught. I don't know the cost adder on that. I mean, is it in the order of tens of cents? And but it's probably, you're still not optimizing for the lowest and the smallest form factor here. I mean, this is still a big board, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of discussion on serial port, right? You're absolutely right. It's nothing seems that we can do to stop it. But anyway, we hear your voice. As I in my first response is, your statement is absolutely correct. In many cases, especially as Lauren said, in the initial phase when we're trying to bring up board or trying to get things going, I think that feedback is quite valid. We are not dismissing it at all. That's what I was trying to say to you. We are seriously considering it, and in fact, that's one of the reasons we will revisit. We have added the serial port, although unpopulated header serial ports onto the 96-board IoT specification. But again, I think what I'm trying to re-emphasize one of the points Lawrence made is each different segment does have different targets, and there is, I'm not going to say compromise, but there is a slightly different in terms of focus or a center of gravity, which each different board we're going to target. Putting it another way, there's nothing to stop a 96-board CE edition coming out today to have the 3-pin or 5-pin and raw serial port out. Spec didn't limit that. And because if that's a board, that board target was actually satisfy that certain group, the low end and low end in terms of low layer development, and that's actually a differentiation factor for that board. And in fact, I can tell you there are some boards where you will see with raw serial pin on it. We just did not mandate that's a mandatory feature on the board.
Can we just see some hands waving, possibly in the audience and on the magic net thing behind me? Is it 1.8 volts that you're angry with? Who hates it that it's 1.8 volts? Nobody? Who hates that it's not got special headers and therefore you can't plug your top on? So everybody's thoroughly satisfied at the moment and nobody's waving at me to say it's a problem. I'm actually surprised by this.
I'd like to ask a similar question. How many people here have a laptop or computer that still has a native serial port on it? Okay, we've got a few, but they must be very old laptops or very old computers. Nearly everything only has USB ports, not a native RS-232 port. Okay, we've got embedded developers here. They have serial ports, but the majority of devices you buy at Best Buy don't even have a serial port.
We're not developing on stuff we buy from Best Buy. I don't develop on my laptop. You know, I'm not rebuilding my own kernel and debugging that. I just use whatever Ubuntu gives me on my laptop. So it's my development board. I want to debug the low-level stuff, you know, the bootloader and things like that. Well, I'm a bootloader engineer anyway, so I use the serial port extensively. But I know.
So, but how do you get from the serial port on your development board to the screen and keyboard that you're typing on?
I don't use a screen and keyboard
Well,
for the development board.
Your development system has, you want to see the console output.
Yeah.
How do you get from the 2-pin header into your development system?
Oh, it's a USB 232 converter. Yeah.
You have USB on your development system. You don't have UART on your development system. You had to put an adapter.
Yeah, this is true.
I'm asking how many people have native UART ports on their development systems?
Oh, so that they can plug in the development board to the thing.
So they can plug their development board to their development system directly.
Yeah. Nobody does.
There are no UART on Apple laptops or on Dell laptops or on Lenovo laptops. The UART is gone. So you always have this UART to USB adapter.
Yeah.
So having a UART to USB adapter that is a 1.8 volt version instead of a 3.3 volt version shouldn't make any difference. You still had the adapter.
Yep. I'm not bothered about the 1.8 volt thing.
The reason I was asking about the voltage and things is in my garage, I have a board with a 3-pin header that is 12 volt inverted to BRS-232 levels. I've got 5 volt, I've got 3.3 volt, I've got 1.8 volt TTL. Right now, the price of the 1.8 volt multi-voltage converters are the same price as the 3 and 5 volt fixed voltage converters. So I think we're actually moving to a point in time where what people want is a 3-pin TTL header. They don't really care about the voltage. And that's the bit I'm trying to test, because we could conceive of adding to the spec possibly headers to give you TTL. But 3.3 volt TTL, probably not, because the money's just not right. And you can buy the adapters now as cheaply as any other.
So we're actually going to move on from this. That's
Thank
okay. We can come back. We can come back to questions in a second, but we do have a little bit of a schedule, kind of, right? Informal, but still a schedule. I want to kind of break the mold right now, and we're going to go do a little demo. So you all know on Monday, Ricardo and Tyler came up on stage. They showed you the demo. We announced the Carbon, really cool. Daniel was just talking about it. Big changes, big announcements. So we actually got Ricardo to come back, and he is going to show us another little demo. So do you have a mic over there, Ricardo?
Yeah, I got a microphone.
Great. So maybe you could just explain what you're going to do. And
can you see the boards here? So they're just going to basically show what is documented. If you go to 96boards.org documentation, if you got the board here in Connect, or if you're buying it online, and how to actually play with the board. So here's it's just the pure simple LED blinking example. So everybody loves to start with LED, right? And then here you can see that you can blink with different colors, like different LEDs. The other and what is cool about this board is, of course, besides having the default LEDs in here, have the button that it can easily flash in here, and that the UART, and have the low head expense in there that you can plug in GPIO, I2C, SPI, and so on and so forth. And it also ships with Bluetooth support with this little guy in here providing some Bluetooth. So one of the examples here, for example, here just flashed a heart rate monitor simulator. So I'm going to try to show on my phone in here. So I don't know if you can see my. Yeah, sorry, not in the right perspective. So there's a Zephyr heart rate sensor. So here you can just pretend that this board is a heart rate monitor. You can read random values. You can see all the notifications from that the board is producing and so on and so forth. So there's like several other examples that you can play with the board. There's beacon and so on and so forth. So it's pretty easy to get going. There's documentation. Of course, you can simply reuse the documentation from Zephyr, but you can also like find a lot more details on the 96Boards website, or just ping anyone on this table in here, and it should be able to help you. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ricardo. That's really cool. We actually have all of this documentation online. There's a nice little getting started page. You can go download pre-built binaries. You can learn how to build it yourself. It takes you to the Zephyr site, getting started, all of that good stuff. Now, I don't know, many of you in the audience aren't really going to be interested in the raffle, right? Like, you're not going to applaud or anything when I draw a ball. No? Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I need to do the raffle, but I also want to keep taking questions. So is there any more questions? Because the raffle's kind of separate. I mean, we can all get going with that too. All right, so there you go. Got one right there.
Hello. How Carbon board is different than Raspberry Pi Zero?
How is the Carbon board different than Raspberry Pi Zero?
Yeah, so the Raspberry Pi Zero is it's not a Cortex-A, it's a predecessor of the Cortex-A, but it's a full Linux system. The Cortex-A, these boards, the Carbon, contain microcontrollers. Microcontrollers have some very interesting properties. Typically, their pins are static hardened, so you can be much more robust with these boards without damaging them. They have tiny amounts of memory, but refreshing DDR costs a lot of electricity. So the tiny static RAMs in these boards mean they can run for longer and longer and longer off batteries. So the combination of the possibility of running from a lithium-ion battery for a long period of time with a wireless connectivity, in this case Bluetooth, is really exciting because it adds new possibilities, especially in things like weather stations where you don't want to run power outside, you just want to put a battery-operated thing in the loft, things like that. It is able to do different things, and it's all going to be to do with the sensing and the actuation, not the processing power. You take the sensor values back via Bluetooth, and you do the processing power on something like a DragonBoard or a HiKey or a Bubblegum, or your laptop if you don't want to buy another 96 board.
Okay, thanks.
We got one more right behind you there.
What is the plan for having system on modules around all the SoCs that we are preparing on 96 board? If this question was answered, sorry, I'm asking again. So all the SoCs that we are seeing with Qualcomm, MediaTek, HiSilicon, they're all very high-end SoCs. So if they have to be, like after software development, if someone wants to move this to a end product, then it will be very easy if we have a system on module instead of taking the exact platform. So
I can't speak for the other vendors like HiKey and but I can speak for Qualcomm. The Qualcomm chips are already available on SOMs from our partner vendors, Intrinsic, Inforce, and eInfo chips.
Okay. And I think there was also a discussion there, like, will we be having design files for all the 96 boards public and for all the boards?
Sorry, can I ask a question again?
Will we be having the design files open, the platform design files with our...
You should already be able to access all the schematics and for the boards which you put on. If not, they are in the work for the ones we put on our website.
Okay.
And I just want to add another comment on the SOM question. So, yeah, that's actually a very, very interesting question because in one of the unannounced work we are working on, I'm not gonna continue. So you're gonna see some of that on our line very soon, and it's very interesting design. As I said, people come up with some really, really creative ideas. And to be able to, using some module to go for the final product is also quite an interesting area. And people are really working on this, and the major players. And so, yeah, hopefully we'll get some very soon.
Yeah. So the reason I ask for some module is I come from India where for software development point of view, 96 boards is really good. So we develop all the software on 96 board. But when we go for manufacturing, like we don't manufacture like another mobile, right? Like we are not doing high volume manufacturing, but it might be like 1,000 pieces of healthcare equipment or an industrial device, which is like 10K devices or 10K units. So for them, having a SOM module will be easy for them to migrate, and having design files will really help them to like quickly get into production. Such thing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that is certainly has been. Actually, this is not just for India, for other part of the world as well. And in this particularly undisclosed design we're talking about is actually in Europe. But I think the same logic applies to other part of our India. Actually, one of the very exciting area. I think we will see hopefully a lot of growth in terms of 96 board adoption.
Yeah. And one more question related to India. So the partners that we are using for manufacturing 96 boards. So generally what happens is like, are they also available for doing some kind of quick customization and manufacturing? And if they are authorized, like say, for example, if Qualcomm authorizes and 96 board authorizes few key partners for quick manufacturing and turnaround time, then it will help the product manufacturers to, they won't go for any other partner. They will go for the same guys.
So both eInfo chips and Inforce Computing, who both have modules for 410, both those companies are actually based in India.
Yeah.
So, and they have those modules available in the quantities you're talking about, thousands or 10,000s, and they're available now.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think we should move on to the raffle. And I mean, usually the way OpenHours works is, I mean, I don't think there's anything after, at least this room isn't booked after this. So please feel free to stick around and ask questions, usually hang out online a little bit with the people there, but we're gonna have to do the raffle right now. So what I wanted to do is ask the panel members to kind of draw a couple balls each, if that's okay. All right, so let's go first with Akira. And you're gonna have to yell out and then do like a dance. So go ahead, spin the dial there. Now pop that thing open. Let me get one of those mics. All right, there we go. So go ahead, pop that open. I think you twist it. Other way. There you go. So grab one. You want to try reading it?
Yeah. Verekin. Spelling is Verevekin.
All right. Well,
Whoever. Oops. Oops.
It had to happen. All right.
Many people got.
Yeah. Everybody wins. No. Okay. So so we have it was Andre Verevekin, and it doesn't matter. We're going to send you out emails anyways, but this is if you want to watch the video. If you're not online right now, because I can't exactly look over there and do this at the same time. Did we get all the balls back in there? Did we lose them all? Akira, draw one more, please. Yeah. Got this time. Okay.
Yeah. Christoph Mayer. Should be doing like this.
Yeah. So if you're online, you should speak up. It's kind of lame if you don't. Just speak up and get excited. All right, Lawrence, your turn. 10. Thanks to Qualcomm, by the way. Qualcomm donated all these boards to give out, so thank you.
One orange, one white.
All right.
All right. All I have to do is find the names. They're in very small print. Sudeep Zhang is the first one, and Bats Karkala. Oh, there we go. Ajith Bat Karkala, I think.
There you go. All right, cool. Yang's up next. Oh, yeah.
Yang is too afraid.
If not, we're calling
I have
Shavana.
my
Here,
microphone
Shavana.
first.
There it is.
All right. Do this thing.
Draw 3 because
3.
Yeah, please, because then Daniel's going to draw the last 3.
All right.
Mark and Yang pass.
Need help in there. Oh my God. Start again. Complicated names.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, pretty tough names. I had to write all those.
So Marion Roth, the first one in here. Jagan Mohan Reddy B. Another lucky one. Opeyemi Ahigbola. How do you say? I don't know.
Yeah,
It's too complicated. So sorry if I spelled your name incorrectly, but yeah. There you go. You got a DragonBoard.
All right. 3 more. Daniel, you're up. Mark, all right, you're up.
Spin or just draw?
Just draw, yeah.
Mark, no, I'm not even in here. Let's see here. Pradeep
Right.
Shivadazan.
There you go. That looks right.
Pradeep Shivadazan. And Yildre Mutlu.
That's good. 3, 6, 9. One more. All right, we'll get this last one.
Okay, and so we're looking at congratulations to David Aduramonov.
All right, there you go. Cool. That's all 10.
Congratulations, folks. Well done.
Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so now I guess what we're going to do is, unless we have a bunch more questions here in the audience, I should have done this from the beginning, so much more comfortable. Unless we have more questions in the audience or online, people speak up right now because we're probably going to stop recording. And then, of course, you're all going to start speaking up. But then I guess I'll make my announcements. We will be starting over a new season next week. I will be there to answer questions. It's going to be just like, and I'm kind of talking to the audience and online and you guys. So please feel free to drop into Open Hours. It's 96boards.org/openhours. We have a couple episodes left before we start season 2. We're going to start bringing in guests to interview. We'll have people from the panel. We'll have lots of demos, lots of really interesting things to do. Community members, anyone who has something to share, anyone who would like to show their own demos, participate, and make your footprint here with us. So thank you very much for coming and joining us today for Open Hours. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.